Few days ago I tested recoil of all primary weapons except shotguns and sniper rifles because there is no much sense about it. So today I'll talk about weapons with low recoil and also which weapons you should avoid. And if you saw my recoil guide, I said in this video that weight doesn't reduce horizontal recoil, but actually it does. So first of all, I'm gonna show you how I tested all this stuff. But if you don't care about testing, you can move to timecode on your screen. So the main weight that I used for finding recoil was its recoil breakdown. However, it has some problem about vertical recoil. So for example, if we look at MK17, it might seem that it doesn't have much vertical recoil, but actually it does. And if we look at some MP7, for example, it seems like it has higher vertical recoil than MK17. But again, actually it doesn't. So I tested vertical recoil in traditional way by shooting at tiles like this, like I always did. So I just compared weapons to each other and put them in such top. But in case of horizontal recoil, this recoil breakdown actually works. However, you probably know that weapons have random recoil, so in this case I needed to find out the maximum horizontal recoil. And just by shooting at the wall it's not really possible, so to find out horizontal recoil I made my own software. So the software makes screenshots and also counts pixels, and it shows size of this blue line in horizontal and vertical way. So for now we can see that it's only 8 pixels by vertical and horizontal by 10 pixels, but since recoil might be random, so we just need to click start detection again and hold it like this for a while. Now we can see much bigger number. So when the software detects that line became bigger, it updates maximum value. So that's how I found out the maximum horizontal recoil of all weapons. And a little explanation how the software counts these pixels. Let's make screenshot of this recoil pattern. So we can see 9 pixels maximum by vertical and 14 pixels by horizontal. Let's make screenshot and let's move to Adobe Photoshop. So if we're gonna make line right here and also right here, so we can see that vertical line is 9 pixels and horizontal line is 14 pixels. The same numbers that we got in software. So that's how it counts all these pixels. And in this way I found out that weight actually reduces recoil. So for example, if we take M4, let's take stock one, let's put some optic, and now let's run the software again. So we can see 17 pixels in vertical and 16 pixels in horizontal. We got almost 1.5 kilograms, so now let's test it again. And as you can see, we have only 1 pixels in vertical way and 11 pixels in horizontal way. So yeah, weight does decrease horizontal recoil. And now let's talk about weapons themselves. And the important thing to mention that vertical recoil score and horizontal recoil score, it's not some values, it depends on weapon placement in this top. So in first table you can see weapons from the best to the worst in vertical recoil, and in second table in horizontal recoil. And also we have another 2 tables here. In first table it just combined score of vertical and horizontal recoil, and second table is almost the same, but horizontal score gets 50% bonus, since horizontal recoil is much more important than vertical one, since you can control it, except such cases like FAMAS because it has stable horizontal recoil, but in case of other weapons, horizontal recoil is random. So this table will be really useful for PvP players, and especially for people who don't have problems with vertical recoil. So now let's look at weapons in these tops. And first weapon is PP2K. It's definitely one of the worst weapons for PvP, at least if you are playing rank game mode on high ranks, because pre-firing on higher ranks becomes one of the most important things to win games. And PP2K has one of the lowest ammo reserves among weapons, and it might cause problems when you need ammo to kill other players and also for pre-firing, so I wouldn't recommend this weapon for PvP. Next we have SR2M, but actually I wouldn't recommend this as well. All weapons have random recoil, but in case of SR2M, it's actually the biggest problem of this weapon, especially when you need to shoot on long distances. So I wouldn't recommend to use this weapon as well. But next we have MP5, and this weapon is actually pretty close to be one of the best weapons for PvP. It has one of the best time to kills, really low recoil, but it's still impossible to get rid out of muzzle flash, so if you get used to muzzle flash, you might actually like this weapon. Next is AK-105 MK3, and it's definitely the best AK for PvP, and actually in open world it's also pretty close to be the best AK as well. So if you wanted a weapon with really low recoil for open world, and which might be really good in PvP, AK-105 MK3 is your choice. Next we have MP7s, they have pretty good recoil, but the only problem with these weapons is they have lower damage compared to other weapons, and also they don't have one-tap potential. So in case of these weapons, you better shoot only in head, so if you have problems with aim, I wouldn't recommend these weapons. Next we have as well with SR3M, and it's actually a great option if you want something with fast fire rate and good damage at the same time. Next we have UMP45, and I would say it's a slightly better option than PP2K. It has the best horizontal recoil, but not the best vertical recoil, but because of slow fire rate, you probably probably won't even notice it. Next, we have Famas here, which actually a great option for both game modes, but keep in mind that it has one of the fastest fire rates and also slightly smaller mag compared to other weapons, which is only 25 bullets. So if you have problems with aim, it might be not the best option for you. And the last two weapons at which we're gonna look with low recoil is L85 and AK-74. AK-74 definitely deserves to be the second best AK for PvP, because first of all it has one of the lowest horizontal recoils, pretty average vertical recoil, but compared to other AKs it has faster rate of fire by 60 points. However, it has some problems that it doesn't have one-tap potential on all distances, so for example, it has one-tap potential only up to 162 feet, when the maximum distance in PvP is 249 feet. But on close distances, it won't be a problem. Actually, it mostly depends on map you are playing. So probably you will have problems with one-tap potential only on coast. And the last weapon is L85. If you really like playing with M4 or MK18, you might actually like this weapon as well. It has not only better vertical recoil and horizontal recoil, but also different reload speed. It has much slower empty reload time, but in return you get much faster partial reload time, which happens more often. So I would say that L85 is just better version of M4 and MK18, at least for PvP, because in open world, even though it has much better velocity and range, it doesn't have access to suppressors. And before ending this video, let's talk about weapons which you should avoid. First of all is FAL. It has the worst recoil among after weapons. Even if you want it for open world, you better stay with MK17 because it has access to suppressors. Next is Carel. It has one of the worst horizontal recoils and one of the worst vertical recoils. In these two tables, Carel is the worst 556 weapon. Next weapon is HK, even though it has pretty low vertical recoil, but it has one of the worst horizontal recoils. And actually difference between some M4 and MK18, which have much lower horizontal recoil, is not that big, so it's not really worth to use it. But in open world, it won't be a problem since you don't have to spray most of the time. And the last weapon that you definitely should avoid is P90. P90 has one of the best vertical recoils, however it has the worst horizontal recoil. Additionally, it has smaller ammo reserve compared to most of the weapons, lower damage, which makes everything even worse about ammo reserve. And another thing about P90 compared to other weapons is that you can't reduce recoil too much. Because of limited customization for P90, you can't put many attachments like on some assault rifle for example. So you can make some assault rifle much heavier than P90, and in terms of recoil it will be a better option. Actually for now P90 is just spray and pray gun. So if your aim at least is on average level, you will find any weapon much better than P90. So that's all for today. If you found this video useful, leave a like and some comment. It helps out with video promotion. Join my Discord server with builds and tier lists. If you really like my content, you can support me on Boosty, and see you next time.